And good. Late morning, YouTube. What's going on? What's going on with you? Dirk here. Sorry for no video of late. I've been pretty busy with work, and had 3 days this week, and I get pretty tired when I work and get ready for work the next day and stuff. So that's why there has been no videos. Sometimes when I watch, there's been no videos because I'm pretty tired. I'm wiped out. But don't worry, I'm going to get you guys all caught up from the 16th all the way through last night, and then I'll give you the games for tonight and who I think is going to win. Okay? That's how we're going to do it today. As you see, I'm wearing the Knights jersey. I got my blue shirt underneath, and I'm wearing my Blues hat. If you want to know, I mainly root for the Blues, but I got this jersey mainly for the videos, but also I do like root for the Knights. And I do watch the Knights and stuff, so that's why I got this jersey from Cool Hockey. And by the way, Cool Hockey gets a pretty good deal going on right now if you guys want to, since it's the new season. There's no very special deal right now, but if you can, they got a contest going on. And if you get pretty much a lot right, you will get a free hand-stitched jersey of your choosing. Okay, I forgot how long it goes on until, but you can do it. Go to Cool Hockey. All the information is on Cool Hockey, and they will help you out a lot. Now, this is a night. By the way, as you know, I decided to get the inaugural year patch, not the Stanley Cup Finals patch, which I could have had put on right on the other side. Since they did win to the Stanley Cup Final, but I decided not to. I wanted the inaugural season patch. Now, if I do want to give me an Air Knights jersey, I will probably put the Stanley Cup Finals patch on it, even though they did not win it. Now, with the Capitals, I probably might, but this is the inaugural season patch. This was their first season. And I also got the 100th anniversary patch. Now, I know what you guys are thinking with this one, by the way. Why did I get the Centennial patch? Well, for the first half of the new Adidas jerseys in the 2017-2018 season, mainly in the 2017 year, these were on the jerseys. So that's why I got it. Pretty neat, right? And I got my name on it. See, 45. Now, the reason why I like 45 is because when Michael Jordan came back, he wore 45. And I'll show you the name. See, with 45 on the back too. So it's a good jersey. I like it. So I got this for 40 off during they were getting ready to come back. So by the way, Sparky's in here. I'll let you guys see him real fast. There he is. Say hey to YouTube. Strange dog. Alright, let's get right into it. On the 16th, Boston took on New Jersey. Entering the matchup, Boston was 1-0-0 with 2 points. New Jersey was 0-1-0 and no points. And after 60 minutes, the final score was 2-1 Devils. Devils had 31 shots on goal with Boston 28 shots on goal. Power play was 0 for 3 for the Devils and 0 for 2 for Boston. Well, this evens up their record at one game, one win each for both teams. And also, each team now has an OTL. Next was San Jose at Arizona entering the matchup. San Jose was 1-0-0 and 2 points. Arizona was 0-0-1 with 1 point at the end of 60 minutes. The Coyotes beat the Sharks 5-3. Shots on goal was 26 for Arizona, 34 for San Jose, 1 for 3 on the power play, and 2 for 4 for San Jose. Arizona's first win, so great going for that. Next was Montreal at Edmonton entering the matchup. Montreal was 0-0-1 and 1 point. Edmonton was 1-0 with 2 points. At the end of 60 minutes, the Canadians won 5-1. I see it. See, that's what I'm calling. That's what I'm reading. Okay, that is what I'm reading. Okay, so you guys don't think I'm making it up. Shots to goal was 36 for Montreal, 35 for Edmonton. Montreal was 1 for 2 on the power play, with Edmonton 0 for 3. First one for Montreal that day. Next was the second game between the Islanders and the Rangers. Entered the matchup, Islanders was 1-0-0. Rangers were 0-1-0 and no points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the Rangers beat the Islanders 5-0, a shutout. Shots to goal were 32 for the Rangers, 23 for the Islanders, 1 for 8 on the power play for the Rangers, and 8 penalties for the Islanders, and 0 for 4 for the Islanders. Both teams got 1 win now. Next was Toronto at Ontario at Ottawa. Entered the match at Toronto was 1-1-0 with 2 points, and Ottawa was 1-0-0 and 2 points at the end of 16 minutes. No, hold it. Sorry, I'm wrong. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm jumping ahead. It was Carolina at Detroit. Carolina was 1-0-0 with 2 points. Detroit was 0-1-0 with 0 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the final score was 4-2. Shots on goal were 21 for Detroit, 31 for the Hurricanes. 0 for 2 on the power play was Detroit, and 1 for 5 for Carolina. Both teams have 1 win and 1 loss each on that. After that, next is Toronto at Ottawa. Toronto was 1-1-0 with 2 points. Ottawa was 1-0-0 and 2 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the final score was 3-2. Shots on goal were 40 for Toronto, 19 for Ottawa. 1 for 4 on the power play was Toronto, and 0 for 5 for Ottawa. This was the second win for Toronto today, and Toronto's looking pretty good. Next was Columbus at Nashville. And entered the match at Columbus was 0-1-0 and 0 points. Nashville was 1-0-0 and 2 points. And at the end of 16 minutes, the final score was 5-2 Nashville. Shots on goal were 33 for Nashville, 44 for Columbus. 0 for 3 on the power play was Nashville. 0 for 2 for Columbus, and Columbus got shut out on that. There's more meetings this year between both teams. And wrap up the 16th. Minnesota was at LA. Entering the matchup, Minnesota was 1-0-0 and 2 points, and LA was 0-0-1 with 1 point. And at the end of 65 minutes, okay, there were 65 minutes, but as you know, the game went into overtime. The final score was Minnesota 4, LA 3. Both teams were 0 for 5 on the power play. Shots on goal were Minnesota 44, LA 33. And LA picked up another point on this one. Puts them at 2 for the year at the time. But a very big win for Minnesota. Another game that went into overtime was Anaheim at the Knights. Entering that matchup, Anaheim was 1-0-0 and no points. Vegas was 1-0-0 and 2 points. At the end of that game, the Vegas Knights win 2-1. Shots on goal were 33 for the Knights, 22 for the Ducks. 0 for 1 on the power play was the Knights, and 0 for 2 for the Ducks. Second win for the Knights, who are doing pretty good, and I'll get to that when we get far down. The final game for the 16th was Vancouver at Calgary. Vancouver was 1-1-0 and 2 points. Calgary was 0-0-1 and 1 point. And at the end of 60 minutes, Calgary wins 3-0. Shut up. Shots on goal were 35 for Calgary, 32 for Vancouver. Yep. And power play, Calgary was 3 for 6 on the power play. Vancouver 0 for 4. Another a lot of teams are picking up the first wins that time. So that's it for the 16th. Now let's get into the 17th. Starting off with Washington and Pittsburgh. Entering the matchup, Washington was 2-0-0 and 4 points. Pittsburgh was 0-2-0 and no points. At the end of 65 minutes, this game went to a shootout, and the winner was Pittsburgh by a score of 4-3. In the shootout, Pittsburgh went 1 for 4. Washington went 0 for 4. Shots on goal were 27 for Pittsburgh, 23 for Washington, 0 for 5 for Pittsburgh, 1 for 4 on the power play for Washington. Washington picks up a very important point, but Pittsburgh picked up their first 2 points of the season at that game. Now, this game was postponed, Dallas at Tampa Bay because of COVID in Dallas. So that game was postponed and did not get played. So the second final game of the night was Chicago at Florida. Entering the matchup, Chicago was 0-2-0 and no points. And at the work stoppage, Florida was 35, 26, and 8 and 78 points. That's right, at the work stoppage, folks. See? You see the record typed in like that on my sheet? That was at the work stoppage when they stopped to play back in March of last year before going right straight into the playoffs. After 60 minutes, the final score was 5-2 Florida. Shots on goal were 29 for Florida, 27 for Chicago, 1 for 4 on the power play were the Panthers, and 1 for 3 for the Blackhawks. This keeps the Blackhawks undefeated. Have not won a game yet, so we'll see what can happen going into the rest. So far, the Blackhawks are 0-3 and 0. Will they win? We'll find out. Now getting to the 18th. Starting off with Columbus at Detroit. Columbus entering the matchup was 0-2-0 and no points. Detroit was 1-1-0 and 2 points. At the end of 16 minutes, the final score was Columbus 3, Detroit 2. Shots on goal were 29 for the Blue Jackets, Red Wings 37, with both teams not scoring on the power play, as Columbus was 0 for 1 and Detroit was 0 for 2. So good going by by Columbus. Next was Boston at the Islanders. Entering the matchup, the Bruins was 1-0-1 and 3 points, and the Owls were 1-1-0 and 2 points. And then at the end of 60 minutes, the Bruins lose to the Islanders 1-0. Shots on goal were 17 for the Islanders, 27 for the Bruins. 0 for 5 on the power play was the Islanders, and 0 for 3 was the Bruins. Islanders pick up their second win of the year today, but there's more games, so forget, okay? Next, the Battle of the North pitted Winnipeg at Toronto. Entering the matchup, Winnipeg was 1-0-0 and 2 points. Toronto was 2-1-0 and 4 points. At the end of 60 minutes, the Jets lose to the Maple Leafs 3-1. Shots on goal were 38 for the Maple Leafs, 28 for the Jets, 1 for 1 on the power play for the Toronto, and 0 for 4 for Winnipeg. Next was Buffalo at Philadelphia. Entering the matchup, Buffalo's 0-2-0 and 0 points, and Philadelphia was 2-0-0 and 4 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, Buffalo creams Philly 6-1. 6-1, folks. Shots on goal were 37 for the Flyers. For the Sabres. Sabres, that is, the Sabres. 37 shots on goal, 22 for the Flyers. Flyers were 0 for 1, while the the Sabres were 2 and 4. So good going by Buffalo. Next was San Jose at the Blues. Into the matchup, both teams were 1-0 and 2 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the Blues win 5-4. Shots on goal were 33 for the Blues, 26 for the Sharks. Blues were 0 for 3 on the power play. The Sharks were 2 for 3 on the power play. Yay, Blues. Next was Carolina and Nashville. Carolina was 1-0 and 2 points. Nashville was 2-0 with 4 points. At the end of 60 minutes, the Canes beat the Preds 4-2. Shots on goal were 24 for the Preds, 33 for the Canes had 24 shots on goal. The Preds had 33. The Canes had 1 for 4 on the power play, with Nashville at 1 for 5. Next was Minnesota at Anaheim. Minnesota was 2-0 and 4 points, with Anaheim at 0-1 and no points. At the end of 60 minutes, Anaheim beat the Wild 1-0. A shutout. Shots on goal were 27 for the Ducks, 34 for Minnesota. Both teams did not score on a power play, with Anaheim being 0 for 2 and Minnesota being 0 for 5. Then Vancouver and Calgary entered the matchup. Vancouver was 1-2-0 with 2 points. Calgary was 1-0-1 with 3 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, Calgary wins 5-2. Shots on goal were 32 for Calgary, 27 for Vancouver. Calgary was 2 for 7 on the power play, with Vancouver at 0 for 4. Next was Montreal at Edmonton. Montreal was 1-0-1 and 3 points. Edmonton was 2-0 with 2 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, final score was 3-1 Montreal. Montreal was 34 shots on goal with 1 for 5 power play. Edmonton was 26 shots on goal and 0 for 7 on the power play. And finally, for the 18th, Arizona at Vegas entered the matchup. Arizona was 1-0-1 with 3 points. Vegas 2-0-0 and 4 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the final score was 4-2. Shots on goal for Vegas were 28 with an 0 for 5 power play. Shots on goal for Arizona, 32 with a 1 for 5 power play. Now we go to the 19th, folks. First game was New Jersey at the Rangers. The Devils were 1-0-1 with 3 points. The Rangers 1-0 and 2 points. And at the end of 16 minutes, the Devils beat the Rangers 4-3. Shots on goal were 28 for the Devils, 50 for the Rangers, 1 for 2 on the power play for the Devils, 2 for 6 for the Rangers. Oh, yeah. Next was Buffalo at Philadelphia. Buffalo was 1-2-0 and 2 points. Philadelphia was 2-1-0 and 4 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the final score was Buffalo 2. Buffalo gets shut out by Philadelphia 3-0. Shots on goal were 30 for Philadelphia with an 0 for 2 power play, and Buffalo was 40 shots on goal with an 0 for 3 power play. Tampa and Dallas against Dallas was postponed. What that? Because of the COVID in Dallas, so there was no game. The game did get postponed. The next 4 games will all went into overtime. Starting off with Chicago at Florida. Chicago's 0-3-0 and no points. Florida was 1-0-0 with 2 points. And at the end of that, the Florida Panthers beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-4. Shots on goal were 28 for the Panthers, 34 for Chicago, 2 for 4 on the power play, while Chicago was 2 for 2. And Chicago did pick up their first point of the season. Yeah. Next was Washington and Pittsburgh. Going into it, Washington was 2-0-0 and 4 points. Pittsburgh was 1-2-0 and 2 points. And at the end of that, like I said, the game went into overtime. Final score was 5-4. Shots on goal were 30 for Pittsburgh with a 2 for 3 power play. Washington was 26 on goal with an over 2 power play. Washington did pick up a point, so that's good for them. But it was their second OTL. They went to, and now they got 2 OTLs. Pittsburgh, they have won 2 in a row, so. But there's more. Next was Winnipeg at Ottawa. Entering the matchup, Winnipeg was 1-1-0 with 2 points, and so was Ottawa. At the end, Winnipeg beats the Senators 4-3. Shots on goal were Winnipeg 28, Ottawa 41, with a 1 for 5 power play for Winnipeg, 2 for 5 on for Ottawa. Next was Columbus at Detroit. Both teams were 1-2-0, entering the matchup with 2 points. And this game also went overtime, and the final score was 3-2. Detroit was 27 shots on goal with 24 shots for the Blue Jackets. The Red Wings were 1 for 1 on the power play, with Columbus being 0 for 2. Another game did get postponed, folks. It was Carolina and Nashville. Carolina has COVID protocol going on, so they canceled that game in quite a while, and I'll get into that in a minute. Final game was Colorado at LA. Colorado was 1-0 and 2 points. LA was 0-2 with 2 points, and at the end of 60 minutes, Colorado wins 3-2. Shots on goal were 24 for the Avalanche, 25 for the Kings, 2 for 6 for Colorado, with 1 for 3 for LA. And next, the 20th. What's done, folks? Arizona at. Now we're at the 20th. Starting off with Edmonton at Toronto. Entering the matchup, Edmonton was 1-3-0 and 2 points. And Toronto was 3-1-0 and 6 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the Edmonton Oilers beat the Maple Leafs 3-1. Shots on goal were 22 for the Oilers, with 1 for 3 power play. The Maple Leafs 26 on goal with 0 for 2 power play. Next, this game went to a shootout. San Jose at St. Louis. And entering the matchup, San Jose was 1-2-0, with St. Louis being 2-1-0 and 4 points. And this game went to a shootout, like I said, and the final score was 2-1. The shootout won 4 rounds. St. Louis went 0 for 4 with St. Louis San Jose at 1 for 4. Shots on goal were San Jose 38 with an 0 for 7 power play. St. Louis 23 shots on goal with 2 0 for 5 power play. Minnesota at Anaheim. Anaheim was 2-1-0 with 4 points. Anaheim 1-1-1 3 points. And the final score was 3-2 Minnesota. 32 shots on goal for the Wild with 1 for 4 power play. The Ducks were 24 shots on goal with an 0 for 2 power play. Next, this game went also in a shootout. Montreal and Vancouver 2-0-1 and 5 points going into the matchup, and 3-0 for Vancouver with 2 points. And at the end, like I said, when it shut out, the final score was 6-5. Shots on goal were 28 for Vancouver, 36 for Montreal, 3 for 6 on a power play for Vancouver. Montreal 1 for 1. Next was Arizona at the Knights. Arizona was 1-1-0 and 3 points going into the matchup. Vegas was undefeated at 3-0-0 and 6 points. At the end of 60 minutes, Colorado. Why did I say Colorado for? Knights win 5-2. Shots on goal were 29 for the Knights, 23 for the Coyotes, 1 for 7 on the power play were the Knights, 0 for 4 was the Coyotes. 0 for 4 now are the Nets at all. Next was last night's games. Starting off with Boston and Philadelphia at Boston. Philadelphia was 3-1-0 and 6 points going into the matchup. Boston was 1-3-1 with 3 points. And at the end of the matchup, it went into the shootout. Boston wins 5-4. Shots on goal were 43 for Boston. 26 for Philadelphia. Philadelphia was a 2 for 5 power play. Boston was a 1 for 3 power play. Shootout was with 3 rounds. Boston wins it 1-3. So a good win for Boston. So let's see what can happen. Next was New Jersey at the Islanders. Entering the matchup, the Islanders were 2-0-1 with 5 points. Islanders were 2-1-0 with 4 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, the Islanders beat the Devils 4-1. Shots on goal were 35 for the Islanders, 31 for the Devils, 0 for 3 on the power play were the Islanders, 0 for 1 for the Devils. Next, Tampa Bay at Columbus. As you know, Toronto didn't have no. Tampa Bay had no games because of the Dallas postponements. So this was their third game of the year. Tampa was 2-0-0 on 4 points, with Columbus 1-2-1 and 3 points. And this game went to overtime. Final score was 3-2. 37 shots on goal for the Lightning, with 25 shots for the Blue Jackets. Tampa was 0 for 1 on the power play, with Columbus being 1 for 4. Next was Winnipeg at Ottawa. Entered the matchup. Winnipeg was 2-1-0 and 4 points. Ottawa was 1-1-1 with 3 points. And at the end of 60 minutes, Winnipeg beats the Sens 4-1. Both teams had 29 shots on goal, with Winnipeg 0 for 7 on the power play, with Ottawa being 0 for 3. Next was Montreal Vancouver. Montreal entering the matchup was 2-0-2 and 6 points. Vancouver 2-3-0 and 4 points. And at the end of, you ready for this? 60 minutes. Montreal whips up Ottawa 7-3. I get you 7-3. 3, folks. Shots on goal were 42 for the Canadiens, 17 for the Canucks, 1 for 9 on the power play for Montreal, 1 for 5 for Vancouver. And finally, Colorado LA. Colorado was 2-1-0 and 4 points entering the matchup. LA was 0-1-2 and 2 points. And LA wins in 60 minutes 4-2. Shots on goal were 27 for the Kings, The Avs were 26 shots on goal. Kings were 2 for 5 on the power play, with the Colorado at 1 for 4. So Kings pick up their first win of the year. And finally, also, Florida and Carolina was postponed because of COVID in Carolina. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into tonight's matchups. Once again, folks, you can check your local TV listings for when the game is on, or go to NHL.com and it'll tell you where you can watch the games. Okay, so here we go. Starting off with Buffalo at Washington. Buffalo entering the matchup is 1-3-0 and 2 points. Washington is 2-0-2 and 6 points. I'm going with Washington on this because I think OB will do good. Next is the Rangers at Pittsburgh entering the matchup. The Rangers are 1-2-0 and 2 points. Pittsburgh is 2-2-0 and 4 points. I'm going with Pittsburgh because the Rangers don't have long quest no more. Next is Edmonton and Toronto. Edmonton is 2-3-0 and 4 points. Toronto is 3-2-0 and 6 points. I like both teams. I like Austin Matthews. I like Connor McDavid. I'm going to go with Tavares, with Austin Matthews, and the Maple Leafs. I think they got a good chance of beating Edmonton. Next is Detroit at Chicago. Entering the matchup, Detroit is 2-2-0 and 4 points. Chicago 0-3-1 and 1 point. You know who I'm going to go for? I'm going to go for Detroit because I don't like Chicago. I never will like Chicago, so I'm going for Detroit. Next is San Jose and Minnesota. Entering the matchup, the Sharks are 2-2-0 and 4 points, with Minnesota being 3-1-0 and 6 points. I'm going Minnesota because I don't see the Sharks winning because they don't have Thornton no more. They just don't have him no more. This game's now going on. Today's the day that Dallas is back at it. Nashville, Dallas. Nashville is 2-1-0 and 4 points, and at the work stoppage, Dallas was 37-24 and 8 and 82 points. You know, I think I'm going Nashville because I think Dallas just has too much rust. So I'm going to go with Nashville on this one. Next are the Golden Knights. At Arizona. The Knights are 4-0-0 and 8 points. Now Arizona is 1-2-1 and 3 points. I'm going Vegas on this because I think Vegas has a good chance of winning. I think they'll stay undefeated. And next is, let me double check, make sure I don't got any other games. I typed ahead, folks. This is the final game. Colorado at Anaheim. Entering the matchup, Colorado is 2-1-0 and 4 points. Anaheim is 1-2-1 and 3 points. You know, I will never root for the Avalanche because you know they got a player I think is pretty good. But the reason why I will never root for the Avalanche is because their owner was the owner of our football team that we had here, who's now back in LA. So I will never root for the Avalanche. Going for the Ducks. Alright, so there you have it. All my picks for tonight. And we're also now all caught up with the season. So this has been the longest NHL report so far. I love you guys a lot. As always, folks, please remember, stay safe, take care. The Lord's watching you. I'll see you guys probably later tonight with the post-game report. And we'll see how I did going into tonight's games. So till then, Dirk saying, see you.